It has been 453 days since now 16-year-old Sebastian Rogers vanished from his home in Hendersonville. His disappearance sparked national headlines, but now his father says the case is losing momentum. With National Missing Children's Day coming up on Sunday, he is raising his voice and demanding urgency. News 2's Caitlin.
I went and talked to neighbors, and every single one of them, every single one welcomed me. And if they had video surveillance, they gave it to me. The only person that would not talk to me as the only person that had something to hide and wouldn't talk to me. You know, she has a son that's hiding and waiting for somebody in the dark, late night on the 25th. And there needs to be some explaining for that. I'll just leave it at that.
That we are going to keep searching, we are going to keep looking, we are going to find him, and we are going to bring him home.
Since we first aired the video last month, authorities have said no evidentiary value.
It is of no evidentiary value. It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No,
Why?
because the investigation remains ongoing.
Yeah, I'm working on behalf of Sebastian. I am not, my client is Sebastian, and they're the guardians that have the ability to sign.
It just started. Hi, Dad. I know this is gonna sound weird, but tomorrow's picture day. So could you send some decent clothes over to me so that I can wear the decent clothes and be handsome for my birthday with decent clothes? Mom.
Because our heart is missing. He is my world. I need him. I need him back with me.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Okay, give me 1 second here. Get this all set up. If you can, please hit that like button. I'm gonna try to just focus on this. Oops. Fix this video real quick. So I'm sure, as most of you may have heard, and if you haven't, FBI put out a post the other day, September 4th, so it was a couple days ago, put out kind of a timeline, which does have some very interesting statements in it, and then it talks about two of the big rumors, and of course one of them being the 3 a.m. lights, which of course on this channel we've broken down several times in so many different ways, and of course over nearly a year discovering stuff throughout that year. It's kind of wild. Then in that post there was some very interesting and disturbing statements that they put out. I could not believe it, and I don't know if anybody showed you guys this. And on top of that, they actually showed, if you guys don't know, the photo that they showed of the 3 a.m. video, it's actually the real footage. Like, it's just obviously a screenshot. But this is the first time we have ever seen, because the 3 a.m. footage, so let me just kind of, for anybody that doesn't know, this footage here that we've kind of been accustomed to, that, you know, originally started with Nick Barris and then got leaked out on Facebook via extended family member or friend from the home. And it wasn't taken from, I mean, it was taken from the surveillance, but it wasn't like taken off, you know, a device. It was recorded on a cell phone. And this created a lot of issues because you lose a lot of quality. If you're recording a monitor, especially like a dark screen, like a dark recording, you know, like a security surveillance at nighttime, and you've got like a lot of lighting, you can tell like on the top, in the corners and stuff, you can actually, there's a part, you can actually see it. If I were to crank up the brightness, you can almost see where the person is like was holding the cell phone, which is kind of wild. Anyway, so many things that we've done to break this down. But this is so wild because this is the first time we actually get to see the original footage. I'm excited and a little like, I wish it was like better. I was kind of hoping to see more. I mean, you do get to see more detail, that's for sure. And there could be some things to come out, but like what they talk about, like as the rumor and what they use to say, like, this is how we figured out, or, you know, we learned that, this was just garbage truck lights or some kind of headlights, and they were like 300 yards away, and they used like a topography map to figure out like where the location was. The fact that they had to put that in there, and where they got that from, if you don't know, I'm going to show you guys. It is absolutely disturbing. I cannot believe they left that part in there and not used another technique, which I'll show you guys. Be it 100%, and it would have been, people would have been, if this had nothing to do with the case, I think most people would back it, but it is not the case. So let me get to the part here, and I'll shout some people out here. Thank you to my wonderful mods and Jazz, Jennifer. I know a lot of people are coming in, so I'll just allow people come in. We'll just go over that timeline that the FBI released, and then at the bottom is where they talk about the lights and the green hoodie person, that's another fascinating thing. Maybe we'll touch on that a little bit, but I promise you, just the rumor part about the 3 a.m. lights and what they put left in there, like, shocks the hell out of me. I am just blown away. So, and then of course, some of the details that they have in this timeline are details that are kind of changed up a little bit. Like, so this is very interesting if you haven't heard it. So again, I'm just going to let AI read it out so I can kind of catch up on chat, and then just kind of pause periodically. It's not very long, so it's on the FBI.gov. They did an update. I think a lot of people are speculating this is they put this out because of Seth Rogers being out there, standing out there at the Sumner County Sheriff's Office.
February 26, 20.
Okay, so let me just set this up. So here is where they just kind of go over the timeline, and there's some interesting details, but it's when we get to the 3 a.m. lights, I promise you'll be like absolutely wild.
24. Katie Proudfoot went to wake up her 14-year-old son for school. To her surprise, he was nowhere to be found. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers had spent the previous day with his mother. The pair shopped at a department store, played video games at a bowling alley, and had dinner at a local restaurant before heading home for the evening. After returning to their home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, Katie and Sebastian prepared for bed, saying goodnight sometime between 9 and 10 p.m. Katie told us a little bit before 10 p.m. she heard a loud bang coming from Sebastian's room, so she yelled out to ask him if he was okay, to which he responded that he was, said Detective Brandon Carter from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. She told him to go to bed because they had to be up early for school the next morning. Katie called her husband, who was out of town in southwest Tennessee for work, and the two of them spoke for nearly 2 hours before she went to sleep around midnight. The next morning was the beginning of what would become a massive search effort for Sebastian. Katie called her husband and told him that she couldn't find Sebastian, that he wasn't in his room or anywhere in the house, said Carter. Katie got into her car and drove around the neighborhood and to Sebastian's school, which was less than a mile away from their house, searching for Sebastian before returning home. During this time, her husband called the local emergency communication center to report Sebastian as missing. In the early days of the search, it seemed Sebastian vanished without a trace. This case was kind of a question mark, said FBI Nashville Special Agent Robert Barrett. Mom wakes up and he is just gone. There's a question mark, and we've got to figure out what happened. That question mark only grew bigger as the search went on. Sebastian did not take any clothes, shoes, money, food, or his cell phone, said Carter. His cell phone and cash were both lying on the dining room table where they had been the day before, when he went to bed. According to Katie, there was a small yellow flashlight that she thinks was missing, but that was the only thing that appeared to be gone from the house. The first week in the search for Sebastian was a massive community and interagency effort between the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Emergency Management Agency, Hendersonville Police, Gallatin Police, Tennessee Highway Patrol, the FBI, Metro Police, Wilson County Sheriff's Office, Sumner County EMS, Sumner County Emergency Response Team, and several other agencies throughout Tennessee. The search consisted of about a 4.5-mile radius around Sebastian's home, said Carter. There were roughly 2,000 search...
Okay, can you guys hear me? Oh, whoa, that's weird. Okay, let me know how the camera is, like, I don't know why. It just, like, went out on my StreamYard. That is weird. Yeah, bang, thud, noise, exactly. Sorry, I kind of got distracted because my camera stopped working there for a minute. I wanted to thank Deanna and Jazz for the membership. Sweet C says, so happy to see you back. Hope you're feeling better. Thank you so much, Sweet C. God bless. Let's see here. Okay, let me know how the sound is and everything. So before I go on, yeah, his age, they messed up. They messed up the date. I think they did change that, but it looks like they still haven't changed his age, which is weird. Yeah, it was 15. Yeah, it's weird. I think it's kind of disrespectful. I mean, people make mistakes, but clearly they made quite a few. And wait until we get to the rumor part. Thank you, Lori, for the $3. Okay, perfect. All right. So let me continue playing this, and then because I really want to get to the rumor part, because that's the big one.
Equipped with an app tracking their movements. The searchers could also use the app to plot things on a map that they observed while they were out searching. The total area they covered within that 4.5-mile radius was equivalent to a combined 44,000 acres. In addition to ground searchers, law enforcement employed every available resource at their disposal to locate Sebastian. Fire departments, mounted patrols, ATVs, search and rescue canines, drones, helicopters, and even an airplane. During day 2 of the search, the Sumner County Sheriff's Department reached out to the FBI for assistance and specific resources that could potentially help find Sebastian, who has high-functioning autism. I contacted our FBI Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team for initial consults, and then they brought in the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit to assist, said Barrett. The BAU shared a statistic that about 50% of autistic children are prone to wander. They are also naturally drawn to bodies of water, and 71% of fatal outcomes involving missing autistic children were a result of drowning. That information helped us focus search efforts in and around bodies of water. The search team drained ponds and searched waterways and lakes looking for Sebastian. In addition, law enforcement searched almost every home in the neighborhood. Video recordings from nearby homes and a dashboard camera in Katie's car showed that Katie and Sebastian didn't leave the house after their return home from dinner, and that no other cars were seen coming or going from Katie's home during the evening and early morning hours of the night or day Sebastian disappeared. We have followed through on every tip that has come in, said Josh Savley, special agent in charge for the Criminal Investigation Division at the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Some of those tips we continue to examine at a deeper level, but the vast majority we have cleared as either being irrelevant or ended with no results.
Okay, let me make sure my mic is at least working in this. Okay, it is. All right, I think my thing is frozen. I don't know what is going on. I don't know if it's frozen on your guys' side. It does look like it. I don't know. FBI post on X. Yeah, that is weird. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Jeez, I don't know why the camera is messing up. Okay. Sorry, guys. Not frozen. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's freezing. It's so weird. I've never had my camera. I might need to get a new camera, maybe. It's actually a nice camera. That's weird. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe I'll kind of go quicker through this. I wanted to kind of touch on some of the things because I know you guys are mentioning it in the chat. As long as you guys can hear me, I may freeze up. I'll just go full screen because, like, most of the stuff I prepare for, as a video. But let's get to the rumor part. I may need to pick. I don't know. The camera seems to be working now, but who knows?
The lack of answers in the search for Sebastian has pushed the community to widely share the story on online platforms. But law enforcement reminds the public to be wary of misinformation from unverified sources. Sebastian's disappearance has deeply affected our community, said Carter. We understand the desire for the community to want answers and for us to explain every step of this investigation, but we can't release all the case details without risking the integrity of the investigation. We ask that the community refocus on what matters most, and that's finding Sebastian. Staying united and supportive will bring us closer to the answers that we're looking for. Continue to share Sebastian's official missing persons flyer, and don't wait, said Sheriff Eric Craddock. If you see something, say something immediately. If you call, right then, we can get someone on the hot trail. Sebastian was 5'5" tall and around 110 to 115 pounds when he was last seen. He has brown hair and eyes that look hazel or brown. He would now be 16 years old. Sebastian has medical conditions, including autism, that may impair his ability to return safely without assistance.
Okay, give me a second. I'm going to see if this will fix it. Let's try here. Okay, I think it might be the plug. Hopefully, if this doesn't work, then I need to get a new camera. I am so sorry, guys. This sucks. You freeze when you play the video. Maybe. It's weird. Okay, so we got through the timeline. I wish we could have touched on that a little bit more, but I'm not sure if this camera thing, I may need to have to, like, take it apart. You disappear from time to time. Hopefully... I've got it fixed. I think I plugged it into a new outlet, USB port. I think it just might be this USB port that I've got. It's kind of freaking out. All right, so here is where it gets like crazy, because here we got, for the first time, image from the actual footage. So if you guys don't know, this image on, let's see, I'm just making sure. I keep looking over to that corner to make sure I'm not freezing. So yeah, this right here is the actual image here. Let me just and we're gonna break it down. Okay. Yeah, I think it was the so I have like a USB hub that I've used for a long time. I'm assuming this thing's probably pooping out. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Because now it seems to be working fine. So yeah, this is like, when I saw this, because I saw this for the first time yesterday on Mr. E's Crimecast. God bless them. And I'm like, man, like the first thing that stuck out to me is kind of the more vibrant colors and the timestamp. Because the timestamps we have are not as clear, you know, because obviously it's a recording of a recording. And usually, like, we do have it, like, you know, at the top left a little bit, but because the person's kind of, like, not steady, it's moving. And of course, we'll show it here in a minute. But yeah, this is actually a real screenshot of the actual footage. This isn't, you know, somebody... So this, on one side, this is good because that means the FBI has the original footage, which does give me hope. But at the same time, what they put in this flashlight theory is so, oh my gosh. And wait until you guys see what I'm going to show you guys. And then I'll show you something that's very interesting because this is now a new still photo. And it says right there, still photo from the security video. But let's see what it says. And then let's break down where they got this from and how just absurd this is.
The FBI is offering a reward of up to $50,000. Had security video footage from the night of his disappearance. The camera angled in a direction that happened to be and urging bring a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to Sebastian's whereabouts. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office, TBI, and FBI are still working collaboratively, sharing tips and information, and urging the public to work with law enforcement in hopes of bringing Sebastian home. The flashlight theory. A house down the street from Sebastian's had security video footage from the night of his disappearance. The camera angled in a direction that happened to be...
Okay, right there. First big clue. Like, because for those that have been with my channel, I have... It wasn't just overnight that I, you know, went to this 3AM footage, you know, when it was, you know, slowly leaked out and said like, oh, I have all the answers. Like, it took me literally over a year, I was still finding other little clues, like the motion light sensor. Like, it was like there in front of me this entire time, and it took me, 6 months after, to figure out like something triggered that motion light sensor, even though it's like, because we're working with a bunch of different like leaked clips, along with the Nick Barris footage, which is like heavily zoomed in one spot. But anyway, I think it's interesting because they said angled direction. That's very important for those that understand like this camera angle. It's very, very unique. And it can be also, because of the driveway and the camera position, it makes things look like they're all like at an angle, but it's only because it's like the driveway. But we'll get to that. All right, so continue on, because this is where it gets really absurd.
Facing Sebastian's backyard, captured two...
And they even say right there, facing Sebastian's backyard, captured two small moving lights. So, and of course, Nick Barris said that in his original video, and I've mentioned it so many times that he had spoken to the homeowner. We've had people go out there and speak to the homeowner after that, and has said exactly what we believe is in the footage is, what appears to be two people moving around with flashlights. And then that's not even the big part. Like, that's just one piece of the puzzle. There's a whole entire other one that nobody talks about. But let's just keep with the flashlights for now.
Small moving lights. At first glance, the lights appeared to be right in Sebastian's yard, suggesting someone was lurking with two flashlights in hand, a potential suspect given Sebastian's disappearance that same night. However, when law enforcement further investigated the video, they disproved this theory. The dark sky and camera angle combined had distorted...
The dark sky, for one thing, this thing is not looking at the sky. Wonder if it'd be easier to have this up while we do that. Again, this is not looking at the sky. This is angled down. It is nighttime, but I don't know why they use the word sky, because that's the last thing. This camera is pointed down towards their driveway, because that's obviously what they got that surveillance camera for, is to, keep an eye on their vehicles. Makes sense.
The security footage. When they examined the video in relation to the topography of the area, they found that the lights were actually coming from a pair of truck headlights flickering through the trees from a street atop a hill about 300 yards.
Okay, that's...
Law enforcement further investigated...
This is where it's like, I cannot believe you guys actually left that in. And if you guys don't know where that came from, it is absolutely absurd. And I'll show you guys, but it's nuts. So... And I'll go over a little bit. I mean, there's so many videos I've done on how we got to where we were. Again, it wasn't just overnight. I didn't go and I know everything. Like, we've sat there and broke this thing down, and I've had to, take weeks off, months off, and then come back and find something new. And again, teamwork. Anyway, so they say that it's truck headlights. Remember, we heard garbage truck lights. Now they're saying a pair of truck headlights. Of course, yet we really only see like one light move one way, and then, another one kind of, do its own thing. And it's really kind of like one light moving, although there is two. But for the most part, they kind of move separately. Not like how headlights would behave. They would be parallel to each other at all times. Unless a headlight was out or something, but yeah. So, but then they say on top of a hill about 300 yards away. That's where it's like, I cannot believe you guys actually left that in. Law enforcement further investigated and confirmed that the flashlights were actually headlights. My ass. Please show me that if that is the truth, and I'll show you like how easily they could just show us, and it would just completely shut us up. Then it goes on to say they also created an overlay. And I'm going to show you the overlay just to show you how absurd it is. and where they got the 300 yards from, because this is where I thought the footage was from when I first heard this. And then it's like I finally did my own thing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is way off. Like, how did they get this so off? And then again, it's like you go back to the Nick Barris, and it's like, oh yeah, he had it right the first time. Like, why are we, looking at, anyway, we'll look at what they're talking about. But so they also created an overlay. And I'll show you who they is. It isn't them. And this would make no sense, because if you've got daytime footage and nighttime footage, there's an easy way to just show the audience, if you're trying to debunk something, do an overlay with the same footage from the daytime with the nighttime. And I'll show you an example of that. And then you wouldn't have to do no topographic map. It's so ridiculous. So anyway, let's show you guys.
Confirm that the flashlights were actually
where they got this from. And then I'll pause for a minute. So, okay. So it looks like the camera's doing better. Again, I apologize. I really wish we could have stayed on the timeline a little bit more. But so, if you guys don't know, this is our lovely friend, GHI. Just kidding. Not a friend. But I'm not going to say anything bad about him. But for those who don't know, he did a lights overlay probably maybe late March. I'm pretty sure it was late March. Now, there's so many things wrong with this. I don't even know where to start. Again, the one thing he does have, I'll give him credit, because this is the one thing that the PIs couldn't get right. Sorry, 1 second. Make sure. Okay, everything's good. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. God bless. Is that he actually tilted? He actually corrected the lights, although they are in the wrong spot. But he at least tilted. He actually understood that, like, yeah, anything that you're gonna focus on in the background, you have to tilt. And we've explained that so many times, like over a year ago. But this is their topographical map. I am not even joking you. So, GHI, this channel, I don't know if he actually had Proudfoot on in that show, because I think this is just like a 12-minute video or something like that. It's not like a live show. But he says, like, he spoke with Proudfoot, and Proudfoot had told him, yeah, it's a garbage truck, and it's driving up on this light. So I know, I apologize if you're on the cell phone, but this is the light. These are the floodlights that we use that are supposed to be on this home here. But he's got it up on this home, which is completely wrong. There's no floodlights up here. I think they have one light, but this is so off. The angle's way off. I mean, everything's off. But he did this because it's supposed to be this road up here. I forget the name of it. But that is supposed to be the garbage truck riding up there. And apparently Chris Proudfoot kind of coached him through this, at least according to Gray. So, and then if you want to know, again, why I'm like almost 99% sure this is the overlay that they're talking about, is guess how far away. So, I do zoom in. 1 second, and then we'll get to chat for a minute here. But so again, this is where the light moves. This is the stationary floodlights. Again, they're actually supposed to be here, but he's trying to say it's this road up here. And look at this. So what we got here is the home with the security camera, and then this road way up here, and this is 300 yards. Look how big. We're pretty darn certain that the floodlights are right here, maybe just over 100 yards, along with the lights moving towards the camera. They are trying to say, and this is literally perfect, 300 yards from the home, and that is what they're saying. Is that insane? That they would use this old go back to my... They used this old overlay that Gray Hughes did, where, Proudfoot allegedly told him, yeah, this is where the garbage trucks, where we were told, And of course, it wasn't just them. They, I think Seth, if I understand, and even some of the neighbors were told the same thing. And if they questioned it, they were just told, shut up, don't say, not to question anything. And then it was like, I remember seeing that, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess it kind of makes sense. Okay, I'm just looking at chat. Yeah, screw. Thank you for taking care of the trolls. I could care less about them. But anyway, so is that crazy, though? Like the 300 yards, if you're wondering where they got that from, and the whole topography and the whole headlights on a street atop a hill, well, it's impossible for the lights to be coming from that angle. And we've kind of talked about that like many, many times. I'm not going to go over it again, but if you're wondering, that is where, that is the distance, 300 yards. And that's where they were saying like those lights, but it's like there's just no way, because they're so like, we can see the light moving, and we'll see the video for a minute, but here is what they could have done, and then we'll get to chat for a minute. So let me play this. So if you really want to shut people up, and say like, hey, well, one, just like, why not release the footage? Because if it's nothing, why not just release it? But if you want to show people like where it's at, why don't you just take some daytime footage, because we know you guys have it, and do this. So this is some daytime footage of when they were walking the dog through the yards. And this is transitioning from the same exact camera. So, same camera, same angle, just footage that's overlaid from the daytime to the nighttime. Just to show like, and if we were to do this in reverse, I guess I should actually switch this the other way around, but you guys get the idea once I let this play for a minute. So this is me slowly transitioning. I don't know if it fully transitions to nighttime, but actually I think it does. So there's me switching to nighttime. So let's just say like, I'm the FBI. We've got, all these people with this theory, this 3 a.m. lights. Why won't they just do this? It would take like, it'd be so easy to do. They have the technology, and it would shut everybody up. Like if it was really this vehicle up on the, or garbage truck, up on the street atop, which we know it's not. The camera's angled down. But all they would have to do is something like this, is just take some daytime footage, but they've never done that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me catch up in chat. I'm so sorry, guys. We got so many people in here. Yes. So if anybody doesn't know why it says 2:23, is that's when the camera froze. Like the timestamp on the camera froze on 2:23. We the homeowners, talked about that. And then suspiciously, the day after he was reported missing on the 26th, which is on the Monday, the 27th, that camera went back to normal. So here, we'll look at this. But yes, this is not, this isn't lights moving on Friday, the 23rd. This is that Sunday morning or Monday morning. It just, the timestamp froze. But I told you guys how because remember, that lovely PI that likes, hates the truth, I guess. I don't know. Tried to say that, this was happening just before the garbage truck comes at, around 5 a.m. But yet I told you guys how they would be able to figure it out, because they had the MVR player and you could break it down in hours or 24 hours. I don't know. I had the a live show where I broke that all down. Anyway, but yes, this was really the 26th. We believe it was around 3 a.m. But again, yes, the timestamp and the date was frozen. Now, keep in mind there is metadata, and unless they tinkered with that metadata, so even though they have the surveillance footage with the timestamp frozen, there could be metadata that they could pull from the footage, where it would actually just have the real date and time, unless it was severely hacked. And then if it was severely hacked, then you have to ask yourself why, who did that. All right, so continue on. So yeah, this is the first real screenshot we've ever seen. It's crazy. Okay, I just want to make sure I got this. Thank you, Fly Girl, Geneva, Mob Crew Rocks. Thank you, Black Witter. God bless, sweetheart. I think I got lawyer. Kathy says FBI posted on X. I asked what vehicle ever made has headlights that go in opposite directions. Also, trees are bare in Tennessee in February. Yeah, and we're gonna look at the footage here. Holly, thank you so much for the $1.99. God bless you. And Christy, and then yes, I got that. Thank you, Deanna. God bless you. Okay. So here's me zooming in, and this is where you could, like I said, we'll look at the original footage, or what was originally leaked out. We could tell this is definitely, yeah, there's much more color to it. You'll notice we can actually see some white, and again, just looking at the timestamp, compared to what we had leaked out, it was it looked very grainy, and you can see much more detail over here. And there's something kind of interesting, and I just didn't have enough time because there was just so much to prepare for. So we'll have to do another show. Man, I really wish they would put this footage out. If it's nothing, but I don't think they would. So anyway, sorry, I thought that zoomed in a little bit faster. So this is where, so if anybody's wondering where the screenshot, what part of the video the screenshot was taken, this is taken kind of just after subject 1 moves a fair distance away from the vehicles. And there's something that's already triggered the motion light on the garage. And if you missed out on how we figured out the motion light and how far away to, well, I wouldn't say how, we know exactly how far away to trigger it, but I'm pretty sure it's just set to from the road. But then you have to ask yourself, what triggered the motion light, right? So here's me kind of overlaying it. And you can kind of see the details. Let me go full screen here. But yeah, the details on the vehicles definitely get a lot better. Sadly, of course, because this stuff is, the lights are still so much further away. There's still not, it's not like a person just all of a sudden now appears. But there is something in there, and I do think because the FBI has it, that they could obviously always enhance this. Footage is always getting, there's always better algorithms, programs out there that are literally just made to enhance dark security footage. Oh, no. Oh, no. We're all good, me and you. Thank you. Okay. So if you guys don't remember, those that may have forgotten, here, let me go not full screen. So this is very important. So here's some of the leaked footage, right, that we've broken down. I'm not going to go over all of it, but I just want to go over a few things, right? And this is the first part of the leaked footage, and that is where the motion light gets activated. That was something that I discovered a much longer time, because the film is so grainy as is that I didn't even realize that the motion light gets activated, and that is due because of obviously some kind of motion and likely a car turning onto Stafford. As you can see right there, the light gets turned on very slowly, right? There's nothing moving at this moment, right? The lights are now kind of either blocked by the ditch or whatever. They're going to pop up here in just a minute. This is likely, in my opinion, the car, and thanks to Silver's on the scene, they just accidentally did this experiment, not on purpose. They just happened to, I look back and they had done a drive, and Silver's too were driving the neighborhood at night just to kind of get an idea. And as they turned onto Kellen, literally just as they're turning onto Stafford from Kellen, they trigger the motion light. And so I'm like, the question is what triggers the motion light, right? Like, something has to be moving. It certainly isn't 300 yards in the neighborhood, behind it, for sure. I'm pretty sure it's a vehicle likely with the lights turned off, trying to, suspiciously turn onto Stafford, and then the video unfortunately cuts off. And then it starts up just after the motion light has now turned off. So it tells me it's like whatever these lights and the vehicle were doing were clearly acting very suspicious. 1 second here. So here is thanks to Silver's. And this is what, except just think, now look how dark it is, right? He is now going to turn on to, and this is the house with the surveillance. Now imagine if he just kicked off his headlights, right? It'd just be complete pitch black. And they did this after I discovered, or before I discovered the motion light thing. And just as they turn that corner, now the light has moved. I don't know if the motion sensor has moved, but the light that kicks on. Now, keep in mind this is after he, disappeared. And I'm assuming they probably put this light here because it's right under where the surveillance security camera is, and that would make sense because you want to have more light where your camera is pointing and stuff, right? And that's the only difference. The night he went missing, the light that turned on was over just on the opposite side of the garage. So right here. But immediately as they turn, they're like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And then we could see, and again, a huge shout out to Silvers. The only reason I even, a lot of people, give me credit for the 3 a.m. lights, breaking it down and stuff. But, a lot of credit really goes to Silvers, because I saw one of his videos where he's like, man, I kind of think the 2 lights, these 2 stationary floodlights are coming from this home here. And then when he did that, and when you do some basic geometry, again, just some basic geometry, we know that, one of the trucks, now, let me see, let me get the one that, actually, this one actually might be better. So we know that there was 2 trucks, obviously, so say this one's just really just pointing, this would be north, right? West, right? I'm dyslexic, though. But, so it's facing this way, right? Parallel with the road. Well, we know that when we look at their surveillance, that where the floodlight is, I mean, if you just draw a straight line from, actually, would it be easier from this one? Oh, I can't zoom in on this one. But obviously, if we drew just a straight line, I mean, it's just basic math, right? Just basic geometry. If we drew a straight line over, it'll likely take us to the source of those lights, right? That's just kind of how basic geometry works. And when I did that, and then when I saw Silver's video, and I think this is the one before this where he drove the daytime, but he's like, man, I think the lights are, on this garage here. And I'm like, then I basically just drew a straight line over, and I'm like, well, that adds up, just basic geometry, because that's basically, of course the truck wasn't parked this way, it's parked parallel, but still the roof would be about the same height, and we just draw a straight line over. Now I know that, the PI and nose team want to say that it's the guy walking his garbage can from here to here, but I could tell you that gets really confusing and disturbing, because as things get further away from us, those distances, right? Like if you're standing on railroad tracks, right? And you just watch them go into the horizon, those tracks literally eventually just meet up with each other. But does that mean that they really connect with each other when your vision, when you go up to the horizon, when you're looking at tracks, you go down and you go to the horizon of your field of view, those tracks, go up. But obviously, of course they don't come together. They're always, so much feet apart. It's just as things get further away, those distances are shorter. So to say that some guy's walking his trash can from the driveway, well, this would be one hell of a driveway. This would be like, I don't know, 100-foot driveway, 100-yard driveway? Because remember, this light is quite a bit out there. It's 100 yards out there. So I don't know if, Fish Sticks ever thought about that in their team. Like, they're coming from all the way from this floodlight, and they're moving all the way over here. Now, obviously, whatever's closer to us is going to be, a certain size. But as we move it away from us, it gets smaller and smaller, even though it still retains its same size. But that's just how field of view works. So, again, either this guy's got one of the longest driveways ever that we just don't know about, or it's because that driveway is above this field of view and they're completely wrong. And it's not. And it was what Nick Bear said originally, that it was just, pointing towards the backyard and there's lights moving. So continuing on, I'm sorry, I just had to kind of point that out. But there is something in this little photo that I do want to point out. Let's see here. So, of course, I've done so many different things with this Nick Barris, seeing where the two lights go. Again, if this was a guy taking out his trash can, what is the other person doing? Because there's two subjects, right? And they're really technically coming together, but just at separate times. Of course, they don't answer that question. Nothing about a wife being out there or whoever. But here's the big one that just blows me away. Why no one wants to touch on the other side, and why FBI wouldn't put this in there if this was like going to be debunked. And ask yourselves, and tweet this out, if you guys are on Twitter, is, okay, they talk about this flashlight, say, oh, well, no, it's just a headlight of a truck. Well, what about this big anomaly? Like, holy shit. Sorry for my language. Like, holy shit, what the hell is this damn? Like, what is this huge thing? Why does none of them ever talk about this thing? Like, right here. Like, yes, this is very exciting. Like, this, moving I'm pretty sure it's a flashlight, in my opinion. But what about this big anomaly that lights up? And then, when we did some, small measurements, just, some, approximate measurements from what appears to be the headlight to a taillight, this is likely a car turning on its lights right after it waited for the motion light to turn back off, because they're like, oh shit, because as they turned the corner, they probably didn't realize that they were going to set off the motion light. And now they're sitting there waiting as these flashlights are moving left to right. Again, why has the FBI or that team that was out there, Fish Sticks, why don't they ever talk about this huge anomaly? Again, there isn't just the flashlight video. There's this huge anomaly that I'm pretty sure is a vehicle, that is right next to this truck here. And of course, if we go back to the homeowner himself, he's been interviewed. Of course, nobody's, they were very respectful, at least my sources, and they just kind of, were out there doing some things. And, he was working on his boat, I think both times. I'm not sure. I know at least one time he was just out there on his boat, and, a certain somebody went up and, just asked him, like, what'd you see? And, he said, yeah, you can see somebody going left to right. Looks like two people. What looks like flashlights. Again, he didn't have all the answers. And then the biggest thing is like, yeah, there's a car that turns on that stops right in front of my mailbox. He said that like multiple times. And I'm sure he told Nick Barris this. And I'm so, I'm blown away Nick Barris is not, clearly he had to have seen this footage. But he left this out. And it's like, why? Now, I understand, because it's like, if it was early on in the investigation, you got a vehicle. I totally get that. But ask yourself, forget the flashlights moving left to right. Look at this huge anomaly that lights up. We know this thing's right next to this vehicle. It's not far away. This is literally 100 feet from the camera, give or take. I'd have to measure it. But and it's just happens to be from that what appears to be the headlight and the taillight. If you measured the distance, because again now of course from the camera, this appears to be about somewhere between 14 to 15 feet, which I said a long time ago. I'm I did a little measurement, and again I'm not saying it's exact, but that is the average size of, I think it's 15 feet, give or take. It's the average size of a medium sedan. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I agree, Shannon. Or Sharon, I'm sorry. Chris, they didn't debunk the car, so therefore they believed there was a 3 a.m. car there. I mean, you could take it that way. I mean, and I don't know. To me, because I'm glad that they actually have the original footage. That's the big thing, right? Judy, thank you so much for becoming a member. God bless. Yeah, 100%. It's a vehicle. And it's the vehicle that literally set off the motion light, and then they waited. And then guess what's going to happen? We have one more clip, right, that was leaked out. Now, right now, the motion light sensor's off, right? But clearly they're in panic mode. So right now, as you can see, the motion light is now back off. This would be so amazing to see without the, the unedited version. It'd be so nice to see the original version, because I'm sure we'd be able to see a lot more. But yeah, notice we got that. We don't have the green hue as we do in that new original. But so there the vehicle kicks on. And then, as I said, like, I'm pretty sure they just paused the video right here and then tried to zoom in because I think they're trying to show the vehicle, but didn't realize that, like, of course, they're, you know, it's a dark video and they're probably doing it with light. And so it's really, you know, because I don't think, I'm assuming you could probably see the vehicle, like, you know, like kind of make out more of the outline of the vehicle, but because I don't know why else you would try to zoom in, because clearly you would have seen this first before you would record it on the cell phone, right? So I think you can at least see the outline of the vehicle in probably the original. You know, are you going to be able to make out the exact model or anything? I'm sure that's probably you know, a lot harder. That was one other thing I was going to say about that. Oh, and then the footage just after the car is gone, you know, which is the footage where the person's running back, you can see that the motion light has now been activated. The car's not there anymore, which tells us that it likely had backed up, because clearly we don't see any lights around, because clearly there's nothing here. I mean, it's always possible the car could have took off forward, but, you know, we've heard that it just probably backed up and turned back onto Kellen. And then we have the individual running back. Yeah, I don't know how that works. I would be nice if that was if it was that easy. But again, ask yourself, like, if this is them debunking the footage, they're literally referencing some of the worst recreations. One, the 300 yards, the truck headlights, the street atop the hill, which of course the camera is not pointed up there. It's pointed down towards the driveway. The camera's not looking up there, even though that one team, you know, clearly. And then of course they clearly showed that they have the original footage. All they have to do is just go, instead of, I cannot believe this is literally what they're talking about. This is the topography, and this is because that's, like I said, this is 300 yards away. I am so, like, dumbfounded that they actually tried to use this. But again, there's no mention of, you know, of course they show, like, you know, they circle one thing in the image, but they don't show, like, the sorry, let me just move this over. They don't show, you know, that anomaly, the vehicle, right? Which again, what the hell is that thing? This is the craziest case. It is, and I swear to God, like, you know what got me, like, started back on this case? And the reason why I stopped, like, looking at the footage is because of literally, and I'm not really blaming GH, because he was just kind of going off what apparently Crispy told him. And in a way, it kind of, like, made sense, but, like, you know, then when I would, like, after a couple months and covered some other cases, and I was like, man, and I was watching, like, See No Evil, which is an amazing television show where they basically just bust criminals using surveillance footage, and it's amazing. Just the little minute footage that they have caught criminals with in some really disturbing cases. And, you know, they've had to look at it, you know, over and over, and it's just like little pixels that show something that they were looking at, like, you know, for God knows how many hours, and then it's just like, you know, finally just, you know, they look at it another time, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I see something that, you know, was there, but, you know. And then that's what made me, I'm like, God, like, this doesn't really line up. Like, the garbage can that, like, why is he coming from this angle? This isn't even the angle that, you know, the camera's pointed. And then that's when I, you know, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a crack at it. And then it's like, oh, this guy's, like, way off. And those lights are much closer. And then when you listen to Nick Barris, it's like, oh, yeah. That makes sense. It's facing towards the backyard of Rogers. I love that show. Yeah, that show like is amazing. Yeah, shout out to that show. Let's see. There's one other thing. Oh, zooming in on it. So because I didn't get a lot of time to actually like play with it. And I don't want to get like, because I've always tried to been like real with you guys, and I don't try to push stuff that I don't think is, because I know a lot of times people have tried to zoom in on things, and I think they are trying to help, but it's kind of like the whole Ruckus video, right, where they zoomed in on the floodlights, but because even though when you're zooming in, it looks like things are moving, it's just because the camera and the lights are kind of like flickering, because they're like, it's just pixels that are trying to, coming in and out. And there's really nothing going on. But now with this screenshot, there is something that's interesting. And again, I need to take some more time. Oh, yeah. No, he had nothing on me, of course. So here's me zooming in. There's something interesting in here. And I haven't even like really gotten to like enhance this. Again, I don't know how much I can enhance, but there could be a little bit. But there is something interesting. Now, again, it could be a number of things. But we're slowly zooming in here, and I appreciate everybody, and I apologize, I'm rambling on. Try to read more chat here. But you're going to notice the main source of light here, but there is something behind it that appears to be illuminated a bit. And one of the things that the homeowner said is that he said that it looked like he could see a person when they're running back, that they could see the person actually kind of like jumping the ditch. And that's just a very unique statement to make, right? And we do see that. Like, we see a light darting back towards the Proudfoot home. But I don't know if you guys can see. So here is like the light source, but there is something which you would think that there would be something slightly illuminated around that light. Again, it could just be pixels that are just kind of being picked up. Again, if it was a video and that thing stayed uniform, you could almost say like, oh, well, this could be like part of the person's like shirt or hand, or again, keep in mind this light is so far away. Like this, if this was a human being, which is good chance there is, this person would be very small. It'd be like a stick figure, like But it's interesting that you can kind of see something behind the light, which does excite me, because I always kind of wondered, like, if we had the original footage, what else could we see in it? And I do think there probably is stuff in there. So I do apologize if you're on your cell phone. I guess I should have zoomed in some more. But it is there. There is like some kind of pixels behind the light source. Again, it could be a number of things. Maybe I could run it through AI, because obviously we've never had this photo before. Is the lights reflecting off a window? I don't think so. Unless you're talking about a different light, girl mom. Yeah, I think it's just pitch blackness. Yeah, unless you're mentioning something over here. But yeah, you can definitely tell that, this is definitely the original footage. It's got more color to it. Unfortunately, it's kind of a 50-50 bittersweet because I wish it was like the ring camera footage that we know that like SF has, and hopefully it's turned over to the proper authorities, because that footage, from across the street and behind the home, that's in nighttime mode. So that's going to pick up things even further away, especially like if somebody's walking around with a flashlight, it's going to pick up any white and black very prominently. That's what it's made for. These color night modes, they're more useful when you actually have really good spotlights that are shining towards what you're recording. And unfortunately, it's, they just didn't have the best lighting. B in Florida says, Chris Homener didn't give the footage to Nick Barris. Allegedly, his wife gave it to her friend. Yeah, I've heard that. And a friend leaked it to Nick Barris. Nick Barris. Against the wife's wishes. Interesting. I've heard that. I cannot confirm, but I do think part of what you're saying is true, for sure. Because, yeah, I think it was a friend that did leak it out. But I know, I can say, like, hand to God, that people have spoken to this guy since, the footage, and asked him, like, hey, what did you see? And he has said it multiple times. Like, yeah, there's a car in my driveway right across from my mailbox, and looks like there's some lights moving from left to right, and then somebody running back, jumping the ditch. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if it'd be the Apple Watch. Not to say it couldn't be. I think it's a flashlight, in my opinion. Oh, thank you, Nicole. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Right. If there's nothing, release it. Right. It would like shut us up in an instant. And you literally have the original footage. So you could literally just show it in daytime. Don't talk about some topography that was done literally haphazardly and very, I hate to say it, kind of done in such a just, I mean, I get it. Like, I know this guy likes to take pride in his work. So this is why I actually did kind of like take what he did seriously for a bit. And then it was like, when I went back to this case, kind of looked at it, I'm like, man, there's like, why is he choosing this angle? This doesn't make sense. This is like, you're really trying to put a square peg in a round hole. This doesn't make sense. The only thing he got right is turning the video, because obviously the angle from the driveway down, everything looks angled right here. That's just because of the driveway. But everything, once past this truck right here, it's like a V almost, right? It's just kind of an illusion. And then, of course, since the camera is on slightly an angle, these floodlights, obviously this home, in this surveillance would be tilted unless we were to tilt it right side up, which actually then make all these vehicles look more right side up, which obviously he at least attempted to do, but the angle was way off. It just, didn't make sense. But anyway, wow. Thank you to Kimberly for the PayPal. God bless. Does anybody have anything that you guys would like me to cover? Let's see, what time did I go live? 5:30. I wish we could have gone over the timeline a little bit more. Maybe I'll go back to that on tomorrow or Monday. Oh, thank you, Kiki. Yeah, if you guys can, please hit that like button. Yeah, what about the vehicle in connection to the flashlights? And then here's another thing. I just wonder, does the FBI know? So, again, just in case if you missed this, let me make sure I got this. Should I do it this one? So remember, this is from our favorite PI, right? Who his client is Sebastian Rogers, right? Not the people paying him. Suspiciously tried to claim that, like, hey, there's nothing going on here. Look, it's 306. There's nobody running around with flashlights. And the reason he put a blur here is just as important as why he put a blur here. And this footage, in a nutshell, and I do wonder, and I hope that the FBI has this, and if not, maybe we need to send something over to him, because I don't think I have. I know I've mentioned the Katie light thing, but the one thing that we've kind of discerned from this footage, so for those that don't know the context, this was, something that just before the anniversary, just before the anniversary, SF put out to try to say, like, hey, look, it's 307 a.m. There's nothing going on here, but I'm just going to blur everything, right? Trust me, bro. And then a channel with that group later on, either the same day or during that week, released the unedited version along with some other clips. Oh, gosh. I'm sorry. Oops. Here we go.
That way. So.
And it was only, so we had like 3 main clips, right? So there's the unedited one at night. It looks a little different, right? Because he just had brightened it up. But we see Katie's light on, right? And so if this is at 3:06 and 51 a.m., well, this kind of combats Katie's alibi, right? Was it she's supposed to be in bed? And kind of weird, we've got a car at 3:10 a.m., driving around. And then it's this footage, right? It's the type of footage that he got from this home that's literally facing the backyard. It isn't the whole 24-hour footage. I'm almost like 99% sure of that, because I don't know why he just wouldn't have grabbed like a 3 a.m., a 3:05, or a 3:10 clip and time-stamped it and put that out to say, hey, look, there's nothing going on at 3:10, because we always kept saying 3:10, but he picks 3:06, or 3:07 a.m., and it was clear. When looking back, in this photo here, where is it? One of the 3 photos, this is the other one. Now the moon is going down. This is more like 5 a.m. I got to look at my thing. But there's a cat. Right here, I've done a video on this. I know it's kind of hard to see. This is not the original video that I did for this, but this is a cat. It's clear. You can see the tail and everything, the legs. It's walking up the stairs, which tells me that these clips that he got are motion activated. So something happened at 3:06 and basically 3:07. That he decided to blur out, which I'm sure is probably a light turning off or on, because that's what was happening on the other side around between 9 and midnight, or even a little bit later, but really 9 and midnight, that it was facing the house, the same kind of Ring camera. So they're kind of like, there's a Ring camera on the other side facing the front of the home, and then this person here's got kind of a even better Ring camera. At least from what the AI could tell. And they're both in nighttime mode. And so clearly it's picking out the whites and the blacks. And what was triggering the front was every time Katie was turning on the kitchen light and the dining room light and turning it off and on. And remember, we've heard from Sweet Pilo saying, yeah, like, and her times were exact. Like, they were spot on. Like, so far back in March, or, yeah, late March, April. And I think this is the exact same thing, is Fish Sticks got motion-activated clips. And then somebody else got some screenshots of them and was playing around with them, and they got upset at that person, and they took that live down, which, you know, again, so much for transparency, right? I think, you know, does the FBI know that these clips are out there and these are motion activated? Like, do they have this stuff? Because if you guys don't recall, like, he did an interview saying, like, well, I'm not really working with law enforcement. You know, we're not working together. I don't know how that helps Sebastian Rogers. If you come across footage, clearly you don't take footage seriously. We've addressed that so many times that I don't even want to get into it. I'm sure most of you guys know what I'm talking about, but that's crazy. So anyway, man, I wish we could have gone over more. And then, of course, the green hoodie person, like, everything that At Night put out about the green hoodie, like, that kind of puts me back on the green hoodie person. Hey, Louise, good to see you. So let me read chat for a second here.
Sebastian's disappearance that same night. However, when law enforcement further investigated the video, they disproved this theory. The dark sky and camera angle combined.
Yeah, I don't know.
When they examined the video in relation to the topography of
it's such a weird post.
They found that the lights were actually coming from a pair of truck headlights flickering through the trees from a street atop a hill about 300 yards.
Yeah.
Law enforcement further investigated to confirm that the flashlights were actually headlights. They also created an overlay of the security footage in daylight with a topographic map. In the daylight, it would have been clear that the lights were coming from the hill.
Yeah. I didn't really prepare for the green hoodie because I was, like, really excited for this. Because, again, I could not believe they mentioned the 300 yards and the topography, because I'm just like, you guys had the footage. You could just take a daytime clip and overlay it. Like, you could take a daytime clip and a nighttime clip, and then, you know, if you're not going to upload a video, you could just do a daytime and a nighttime, and then just do an overlay with, you know, kind of like, just like this, how I have it right here. Like, this is perfectly, well, it's not 100% lined up because I know I zoomed in a little bit, but so you can see the trees kind of off a little bit, but you get the idea. It's taken from the same exact spot. Actually, I think I do zoom it in to where it does actually line up. But yeah, that's all they would have to do. But again, and then you'd have to say, like, well, what about the huge anomaly, which is this big giant blob of light? This thing here, like, what the hell is this? You know, what is this? Why is anybody talking about this, right? Oh, yeah. It sounds so stupid, the green hoodie. Yeah, GH. Right. Yeah, it made no sense. Because they said, like, oh, well, you know, we got your guys' concerns, and we went and we vetted this person, and remember that was released, like, I think all this came out, like, early December. I think it was, like, December 8th or December 7th. And it was, like, December 13th that they said, yeah, we found and vetted this person. And it's like, what's worse? You guys just finally realized nearly 10 months later that you're going to finally look at the last known footage of where Sebastian was seen at, other than, you know, allegedly his home. And there's this weird interaction with the mother and this unknown person. Or did you guys, like, know about this person long ago and you're just only putting that out just to kind of shut people up, saying, like, hey, we we vetted this person recently. But then in reality, they had vetted them, way back when they got the footage. But it doesn't sound like that. So, yeah, it is. I don't know. It's disturbing. I hate to say it. Yeah, and if you guys don't know what we're talking about, I'm not going to go over it tonight because I been kind of going on for a bit. But At Night put a post, and it's literally a transcript of them speaking with Texas Roadhouse about everything, and it is super interesting. Because clearly the people at Texas Roadhouse, like, they wanted to help. And they said, like, if I recall, correct me if I'm wrong in chat, but it sounded like in that transcript that even though law enforcement says, even like right here, they said like this person, this green hoodie is a like a known patron, right? Let's see. Is this the video? Oh. Yeah, right here. It says it right here. Yeah. It was confirmed Green Hoodie was a frequent customer and helped identify them. But in that transcript, correct me if I'm wrong, At Night said like, hell no, we don't know who this person is. Am I wrong? Did I forget that? Yeah. Oh, and then on top of that, right? Yeah, law enforcement wasn't taking it seriously. Yeah, it's truly disturbing. I did want to touch on that, like, but I wasn't sure how long the lights thing would, because I knew that would be kind of big. But holy shit. Yeah, let me know in chat. Am I wrong? I mean, I guess I could pull that up. Like, I really don't want to go over it this time. I'd like to do it in a separate video. But I'm pretty sure At Night said, like... Or in that transcript, we're like, yeah, this isn't... We don't believe this is a regular patron. Dog, right, looking for the footage. Interest... People don't realize that the image isn't perfect, but there's a stronger resemblance too. Bathroom we used. On business correct. Video. These past screen just comes like. So other than online image, so this is Texas Roadhouse right here. I can't zoom in. Other than online images, I can only say it's a strong resemblance. Like, so they don't, like, here it's even saying, like, we don't know, like, if this was like a regular patron, it'd be like, oh yeah, this is so-and-so, like, that comes in every, Friday or every other Friday, yeah. They just thought it looked like, I know that, people had thought it was Crispy's stepsister that allegedly passed. I don't think that's who it was. Yeah. Yeah. So disturbing. You're doing better work than the FBI, Chris. Oh, thank you, analyst. I mean, I think FBI for the, does a great job. I think they just need to be able to take the lead, right? And clearly this is in response to what Seth has been doing, going out to Sumner County. It seems like it to me. That's kind of the consensus. We didn't, unfortunately, get to go over the timeline like I wanted to because there is some really disturbing things mentioned in that. They say it's a bang and not a thud. That his cell phone was on the dining table, not the kitchen island. Plus money. And then they mentioned the yellow flashlight, which again is like, I still feel like, how'd you guys know that there was a damn flashlight? I'm still like, I don't know. So many things. Oh, sent you two. Okay, let me check my email real quick before we go. So again, just I'm checking my email real quick here. And thank you to my wonderful mods helping me out on a Saturday night. Oh, did they put something out? Let me be FBI article stage 2 material. Yeah, I've seen that, Nero. Thank you. Yeah, I think I may do that maybe Sunday or Monday, because there's other things. But yeah, you're right. They kind of like, they really botched, whoever wrote the article messed up his age. They apparently, I missed the original edit, but apparently they said it happened this year. And here's the last thing I'll leave with.
As far as where that video is shot, between local.
Okay, so I know I played this before, but let's just leave with this, and then I'll read a few more chats, and then we'll head out. This is Chris basically telling on himself.
The night he disappeared, is there anything that you think about this?
And just look at his reaction before he starts talking. Is the weirdest reaction and disturbing to me.
This video or?
Sure. So.
Yeah. Taking it very seriously. It's almost like, damn, like if they knew all the different angles of the cameras, right? Let's just say if they were allegedly involved, again, it's not that far thinking to, if there is suspicious activity, you're going to look at the parents first, and until you could, you don't move on from them. You don't go to the neighbors and the neighbor's dog and the cats until you've cleared the parents. The parents have not been cleared. So, just look at, the Manuel Harlow case and, Lily and Jack case, those cases, especially the Manuel Harlow, with the parents, it's usually the parents. If there's something suspicious, you start with the parents, and then you move to extended relatives, and then you eventually get to the neighbor and the neighbor's dog and cat, if you want to, if it's gone that long. But if you can't get past the, where he was last seen, then like, why are we, moving away? But let's look at his response.
There's a lot of speculations about that video that are floating on the internet. Okay, and that is exactly what it is. It's speculations. Now, what I can give you an official statement on is TBI Newslink has released a statement from law enforcement, between local law enforcement, state law enforcement, some federal law enforcement, and they have analyzed that video so many times over.
I know I've done this before. Tell me why in the hell, if they knew all the way back then, if it was a stupid garbage truck light, why is 4 agencies studying the same damn thing? Come on. See, this is where, again, like, he can't help but till on himself. Elizabeth, thank you so much for the Venmo. And Amy, God bless you. God, I really appreciate that. You guys are so awesome. But again, like, ask yourself, like, why? I'm pretty sure that's probably true. Like, I'm sure he was probably told, like, yeah, we're studying the shit out of this footage because something happened between basically day 1 and 2 where they issued an Amber Alert, and I'm pretty sure that's like after they started collecting that surveillance footage, and this was probably one of the ones that was like, whoa, wait a minute, we've got like some anomaly going on here that doesn't look right, and it's coming from their backyard. Not to mention this big giant thing that nobody ever wants to talk about, Please, FBI, someone, Sumner County, fish sticks, do you guys want to address this big anomaly? Like, what is this? No, it's not a garbage truck. Pretty sure it's a vehicle. But again, they won't address this because it's like, this is too controversial, right? And then you still have the light. Oh, it's kind of hard for you guys to see. This little dot right here. This is subject 1 or 2. It's the one that I call the scout. It's still sitting there, like, waiting for this car down to back up because it got busted as it came down and turned on the motion light. But, it is what it is. But come on, FBI. You guys got to do better. But I do wonder, do they actually have this? And this is what I'll leave with. Like, do they have this? Wait, where is it? Do they have this footage from this yard? Like the activated footage? Yes, this may not show like lights moving because I'm sure they probably knew like where this camera was, kind of like, and they probably didn't have the lights on until they were kind of more past his home, maybe before they kicked on the lights. Just guessing. But at the very least, I'm sure I'm just going to take a wild stab at in the dark here. That this probably shows, and the reason it got triggered is there's a light turning off and on at this house. That's why he blurred for privacy. And then he's like, well, I don't want to make it too obvious, so I'm going to put this blurred for privacy over here to make it seem like I'm just trying to be respectful, yet then I'm going to release just unedited footage of a neighbor looking for his cat and literally bringing it in, and then I'm going to act stupid and, make up some BS story and, try to ruin some people's lives because, I want to throw a temper tantrum. Right? But I do wonder. It does make me want to text the FBI or email them, say like, hey, do you guys have this stuff? Did like this guy send this over? Because it seems like pretty important. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's just hope they're, let's just hope whoever wrote that article, it's, I don't know, like, because I've heard some people mention like it's like maybe a, I don't know, intern's the right word, but something like that, kind of a public relations, I don't know. It's weird. This whole statement. There's a lot of stuff to pick through. I wish we would have had time for. I have a law enforcement officer. That wouldn't make sense. Like, no, I don't like. Again, I'm not a lawyer or, like a DA. I would think if you're an HPD officer, because that's obviously who'd live there, or part-time HPD, if you're not sending that out to, the proper authorities that are working on this case, then shame on you. Go for it, Chris. Send them everything. I may have to. Again, I know I've sent some stuff over to them. It's been a while, but I do wonder, do they know that, because I could actually kind of prove to my best argument that, yeah, this footage that he has is not like 24-hour footage. It is motion-activated clips, and one of them happens at 3 a.m., which is around the time we think something happened. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yes. We were even looking at one that could affect this kind of camera. I forget the name of it. I have to go back in my lives, but anyway. But pretty wild though that we actually get to finally see like the actual original like screenshot, see what it actually looks like, even though it looks more or less the same. I mean, it does look a little more pristine. Fortunately, the stuff in the further background is not gonna change much from what we have seen, because obviously it's just so far out there. And this camera is not in the nighttime mode where it's it's got the white and the black. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, you never know. You don't want this. Yeah. Hopefully, so send them everything, Bob. I guess wouldn't hurt, right? You know. I do, and I can't how many times have I said that. Like, I hate thinking this is like a corrupt case, but I do think there is some stuff. I heard there's some new people, like the new district attorney that's gonna get promoted. Again, it's not stuff I've really covered. I heard Mr. E talk about it. And then of course next year would be Craddock's, where he's got to run again. Be nice to get him out of there. Yeah, we've talked about jammers. I do think there's a good possibility of this camera. I mean, what are the odds? And then here's the last thing I'll leave on. If you guys notice at night, remember here, let's post this. This is the last thing we'll leave with, and then we'll go. So they released this big thing, right? Man, they have more stuff. I may have to go over that. Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah. This. Okay, so as you guys remember, they released this, right? And they released this in a big file. What I find interesting, and maybe it's unrelated, but this was taken on February 23rd. I don't know if it says it in this one here. Oh, yeah, it's right there. It says capture date February 23rd. Again, I'm not sure where they're going with this. Clearly, they got like the original, I forget the file it's called. So there's like different files. We're used to like JPEG, right? Which we share. It's easily shared. It's a small file, right? You share on your phone. JPEG's the big one. And then you got PNG, and then there's another one, I can't think of it, that I think this file is. And it's basically like where it doesn't lose any information, because obviously this is a shot from the satellite, a low orbiting satellite, the Vexel 1. And I think it's interesting that, they have something that they, trying to show us on February 23rd. And again, is there a coincidence that, remember, that's a Friday, that this footage got frozen on the 23rd? Again, maybe it's just a strange coincidence, but I don't know. And if you have any ideas, let me know in the chat or, in the comments, because I would love to hear your theories, because selected. Oh, the sheriff and DA were selected, not elected. Oh. No, I know the sheriff because the other one passed. I don't know if that's what you mean by both of them, but I think I know what you're saying, Kathy. But thank you. Yeah, because I don't think they've tried any cases. Again, this is a little off my wheelhouse, so please. Oh, gotcha, Christian. No, Bobby, of course not. Sometimes you just have to take a break, right? And then come back. Yeah. No, not zip file. It was, but yeah, it's kind of like that. But yeah, it's a file. I forget the file name. Damn it. Anyway, it's not like super important, but no, yeah, if I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it keeps all the information in there. So if like it was shared, it doesn't lose its quality. It's almost like is it lossless? If you ever heard of FLAC, lossless audio, back in like when everybody was sharing MP3s and stuff, you would come across those Lucy files where those were like, files where audio would not degenerate as it got shared. And that's what this file is. So clearly there's something in here that, goes with an argument or something that they've discovered. I don't know, exactly what it is, but it is interesting. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. Shows that CPO was not home on 25th. Remember scratches on his arm, too. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely possible, for sure. Yep. Yeah, talking about the new DA. Yeah. All right. Thank you to everybody that, chatting, hit the like button, to all my members, my wonderful mods, everybody, of course, that donated through PayPal or Venmo. I really appreciate that. You guys are amazing. If you can, please, if you didn't hit that like button on the way out, and maybe we'll go over the green hoodie if you missed it. There was, this kind of goes back to, I don't have it in this footage. The green hoodie is possibly back on the table. Then there's some, things that I kind of discovered recently that that we talked about a month ago with the headphone that it appears that Katie's putting in, which I find very interesting. And yeah, so maybe we'll go over that as well. Yeah, I agree. And then again, where's Crispy and Katie and all this? You got one guy standing outside the Sumner County Sheriff's Office for his holiday weekend or whatever, and they can't even at least come out of the office to say like, hey, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Here's where we're at. It's just rude. Doesn't look good. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. Thank you to my wonderful mods, of course, as always, because, we always have a few, few of the trolls come in, but is what it is. But God bless you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Maybe tomorrow I may be live. If not, hopefully Monday. And when they released all that footage or screenshots of the different areas, maybe we'll have to go back and look at that, because I think that was all on the same day, if I recall. That Friday, which is interesting. Thank you, Barbara. God bless. Oh, wow. Yeah, just don't get in trouble, but yeah. Oh, wow, that's creepy. That would give me an eerie chill, especially knowing that, they have some kind of part-time custody with, Faith, which disturbs me. All right, much love to you guys. Have a good, wonderful weekend.